Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Good Boxing Podcast with your host, Josh Size. I'm going to jump right into this episode. I wanted to take a couple days to kind of see more or less what the fallout would be from Teofimo Lopez and Triller's box office purse bid for the fight with George Gambosos, his mandatory. As you know, Teofimo Lopez is the undisputed world champion at lightweight, right? He has all the belts, and the kid really wants to put on a show and feels like he's worth a lot. As you heard, he wanted to fight everyone under the sun and was commanding that he make $10 million. A lot of people were clowning him, saying that you don't go from making $1 million, which what he made, versus Lomachenko, and then all of a sudden, just because you have all the belts, you're going to make $10 million. You can say it all you want. You could speak it into existence. You can feel any way you like because Teofimo Lopez feels he's worth more and didn't want to take the minimum that Bob Arum was offering him. Apparently, for the George Gambosos fight, they were trying to offer him $1.25 million, and Teofimo Lopez, being shrewd and clearly feeling himself, which is, let's be honest, when you're undisputed, you feel like you took a pay cut and you got slided in the negotiations with Lomachenko, so much so that you almost didn't actually fight in the fight because originally they only wanted to give Teofimo Lopez $800K to fight Lomachenko for all the belts, and Teofimo was like, nah, I'm not going to fight you for that. I'm going to pull out. I know there's more. But he stood his ground, and then evidently Top Rank came up with the money. There was a false rumor going around that Lomachenko gave up some of his purse for the fight with Teofimo Lopez, but unfortunately that wasn't true. Basically what happened was Bob Arum said, hey, I'm going to give you this amount of money for this fight, and then for the next couple of fights, we're going to take it out of your purse if you lose. It was almost like a catch-22, but Teofimo was like, okay, no problem. There's no rematch clause. There's no anything. Pretty much you're going to try to screw me over. If I lose, I'm pretty much going to get screwed for the money that you gave me extra. And if I win, there's no rematch clause. All right. Teofimo got Lomachenko in the ring, and you know how that went. Teofimo went on to win a dominant decision over Lomachenko, and people are saying it's controversial. Let's just put it to rest. It's not. Okay? Fast forward. All you keep hearing about over and over is about the five kings at 135. You have Teofimo Lopez, who's undisputed. You have the fallen king, Vasily Lomachenko. You have Tank Gervonta Davis, who is up there in the five. You have Ryan Garcia, who recently disposed of Luke Campbell. And then you have, rounding out the top five, Devin Haney. You were hearing rumors that Teofimo, if he couldn't get a fight with George Gambosos, he would end up fighting either Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney. But the IBF ordered Teofimo to fight his mandatory. His mandatory happens to be George Gambosos. And if you know Teofimo, his first belt ever was the IBF championship. Apparently they were saying, and I'm not going to go into this, you can speculate all you want, but evidently he could have fought someone else, maybe a Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia, in order to satisfy that mandatory. But you know what? Honestly, Teofimo said he wanted to fight them, but he also wants them to earn a shot with him. It's not fair that Teofimo had to go beat Richard Comey, fight Masayoshi Nakatani, who we know is pretty solid, and then he had to defeat Lomachenko for the belts. For someone just to kind of jump all over the hurdles in order to get a shot at the undisputed, I kind of understand him. He feels like they need to kind of fight more, fight somebody in the top 10, make it a fight that people want to see, and basically promote it. But he moved on, and then evidently it got settled upon George Gambosos. So now this is where the situation kind of takes a turn for the worst, or in my opinion, for the best for Teofimo. Okay, George Gambosos and Teofimo were talking hella trash to one another. He really feels like he's going to win, but Bob Arum was trying to say, hey, I'm going to pay you double your minimum, right? And now his minimum was 500 and something K, which is no short sum, but when you're undisputed champion, you feel like you're worth top dollar, and I don't blame you. But Bob Arum wanted to pay him 1.25. Teofimo was like, no, you got to do more. I get Bob Arum's stance because there are no fans. There are no fans in attendance. If the fight went to Australia or whatnot, you would be able to have a full stadium because Australia isn't suffering as badly as the rest of the world, and New Zealand as well, with COVID. So there would be fans in attendance. Maybe you can make more money. But Teofimo was like, no, I'm not going to Australia. If you're not paying me when I want to get paid, You need to pay me what I need to be paid. So clearly he wasn't happy with what he was getting and what he was hearing. So then evidently Devin Haney was supposed to offer him something, a $4 million deal that never came to fruition. He mentioned to Eddie Hearn that, hey, I want to fight your man. I'll fight him for $10 million. Make it happen. I saw the clip. I posted it on the Instagram, and Eddie Hearn was like, no problem. Then no offers came, no big deals, and Teofimo felt slighted. So the way it works is you have to go to purse bid. A purse bid essentially is a process that ensues after two promoters can't come to an agreement in terms of financial compensation for both fighters. If both promoters can't come up with a sufficient sum for both fighters, then the IBF orders a purse bid where you're not going to violate your contract with your promoter, but you will allow other promoters to basically set the market price for the fight. Top Rank, Bob Arum, who represents Teofimo Lopez, was able to bid on the fight, and so was Lou DiBella, who manages and promotes George Gambosos. Actually, you can't manage and promote. You basically the promoter, so he's the promoter of Gambosos. So Bob Arum clearly was parading around in the media saying, oh, he's not going to get what he wants. He wants too much money. There's no way I could pay it. But it's part of the process. It goes to purse bid. We're going to see what the fight is worth. And Teofimo isn't going to get what he wants. He's not going to get $4 million. It's not that big of a fight. I don't think you're going to get money that you think. But there's no hard feelings. I get what he's trying to do, etc., etc. The Thursday for the purse bid comes, and there is a massive snowstorm. The purse bid gets canceled, and then this whole charade continues. Everyone's like, oh, Teofimo's asking for too much. Teofimo's asking for too much. He's crazy. He's crazy. He's crazy. The front runners were going to be Top Rank, Matchroom. You heard a bunch of different promoters trying to get their hand in the hat to try to promote the Undisputed Takeover. Purse bid comes. The boxing world is a buzz. Everyone's like, oh, Teofimo's just going to get 3.5 or 4. Even Devin Haney's father went on one of my favorite channels for boxing, Punch Drunk Boxing, and said, oh, he's going to get 3.5. He's not getting more than that. You're crazy. I guarantee it. Blah, 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 blah. Purse bid comes. Bob Arum makes a purse bid of $2.75 million, right? Pretty much giving Teofimo his minimum, because the winner, or actually the champion, gets 65% of whatever the purse bid is, and then the challenger gets the rest. So basically, let's say if it's $3 million, let's just make an even number. Let's say it's $1 million. The purse bid ends up being $1 million. You do 65% of that would be 655. 650,000 goes to Teofimo. The rest, the 350,000 goes to Gambosos. But after Top Rank gave his bid, Eddie Hearn ended up coming in at 3.5. So everyone was like, oh, Eddie Hearn's probably going to win. And he was apparently the highest bidder. Then there was a third body that gave a bid. It was for $685K. Everyone was like, oh, wow, that's such a low bid for Triller, who was that third body. But then what people didn't realize was Triller actually bidded $6.85 million, which was almost double what Eddie Hearn put up and almost triple of what Top Rank put up. That $685K was actually a 10% down payment, which is what the promoter has to put down in order for the fight. So now, Teofimo Lopez was set to make $1.25 million with his mandatory minimum, right? And then all of a sudden now it's ballooned up to something upward of, let me do the math. You got 65% of 6.65 times 6.8 million. He's going to make $4.4 million, right? That's pretty much 4 times or triple pretty much what Bob Arum was going to give him. So now this is sending shockwaves through the world. This is the first time that, in my opinion, I've seen Bob Arum just get completely embarrassed and shunned in the media. More often than not, Bob Arum gets away with saying a lot of crazy things and doing a lot of crazy things, but Teofimo bet on himself. He didn't want Bob Arum to take advantage of him. Sure, he's the undisputed champion. Bob Arum's like, doesn't matter, I'm paying you this because there's no crowds, and you have 3.5 years left. After this purse bid, Triller sent a message to the entire industry, right? Triller set that Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fight up, and the Jake Paul fight that happened with Nate Robinson. They had a big event that was pretty successful. They did 1 million pay-per-view buys, legit, and generated a lot of income. So in this fight, I think Triller is becoming a legitimate player in boxing. The beautiful thing about it is I feel like Triller right now is in the same stage the Zone was in the beginning when they first came out, where they're trying to enter a market. So in order to enter a market, especially when you're not the first person in, you're not a prime mover, you're someone that's kind of catching up, you're willing to spend a lot of money in order to get entrance. Entrance into a market is extremely expensive. And I have to say, Proxima Media, who owns Triller, has deep pockets. So they do have a lot of money. They do have a lot of money to kind of promote, right? Triller's main thing is they are similar to TikTok. They are actually a direct competitor with TikTok and Facebook, and also Instagram Reels, etc. They're a similar kind of platform. So I think the fact that they spent $6 million to enter an emerging market where, look, there's eyes on the sport. Jake Paul's in it, right? You have the YouTubers who are bringing a lot of casual fans to the mainstream boxing networks, right? You do also have guys like Ryan Garcia, et cetera, et cetera. Boxing is a very, very prosperous sport right now. People are making a lot more money than they ever had. And I think we used to think about Floyd Mayweather and how much he used to make and his pay-per-view model, et cetera. But now with streaming and social media, it's just a different time. So the fact that Triller, who has a substantial amount of money to invest to get their name out there, to get people on the platform, are actually looking to stage boxing matches where a lot of people can see more or less what they're trying to promote and what they're trying to be. There's going to be performances. And I'm glad that Teofimo actually disrupted the boxing media, right? The promoters, boxers, everybody was playing this kid. Everyone thought he wasn't going to be able to get what he wanted to get. They thought he was outpricing himself. They thought he was ridiculous for thinking he was worth that, but he ended up making it happen. The beautiful thing about it is I think Teofimo right now is in a very, very unique position. The IBF, right, is making him defend and it goes to purse bid. But Teofimo doesn't have 1 belt. He has 4 belts. So what if the WBC is like, hey, you got to defend against Devin Haney? Will it go to purse bid? Then again, if Triller wants to come by or Eddie Hearn and Matchroom want to pay out and do it, it's almost like a glitch in terms of his contract. He has a 3.5-year contract with Top Rank. Top Rank's going to try to dick him around and try to screw him over because he did embarrass them, right? He got more money, and it's showing that Bob Arum is probably a cancer in the sport. And I hate saying that because he does get you to a certain platform. But when are we going to realize that Bob Arum is killing his stars? Terrence Crawford's disgruntled. Mikey Garcia got shelved. Teofimo's getting dicked around. You have Floyd Mayweather, who was dicked around by Bob Arum. He had to buy himself out of his contract. De La Hoya, the Golden Boy, also another person getting dicked around. When does it stop? I don't really know. But I think Teofimo might have stumbled upon a very, very unique situation where if he wants to, he can legitimately just fight all his mandatories for all of his belts and keep going to purse bid to kind of bypass Top Rank and let the market speak for itself. If Triller makes a lot of money off of Teofimo Lopez fighting George Gambosos, they're going to continue to purse bid. And if the market constantly knows what Teofimo Lopez is worth, because people think that your worth is based on what people think. No, whatever people are going to pay for you, that's your worth. If the market tells you, hey, $6.8 million is what it costs to have a fight with Teofimo Lopez, people are going to pay that. If people are in high demand and are bidding at a high level for a fight with Teofimo Lopez, he's just going to continue to make more and more money. So I think this is a really, really good gamble, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Triller kind of disrupts the sport, because that purse bid thing really screwed Top Rank over. Yeah, I'm excited for the George Gambosos fight. I mean, I feel like Teofimo's going to blow him out, but George Gambosos, in my opinion, isn't going to shit the bed like Avni Yildirim. I think he's actually coming to win, and he believes he's going to win, and as he should. I mean, he is a pretty good fighter. I just don't think he has a skill set to beat Teofimo. Not right now. The kid is on another planet, and he knows how hard he's going to have to work in order to keep and maintain the supreme undisputed title. So this is the episode for today. I'm very, very curious to see more or less what's going to happen. Another thing I wanted to touch on too is Bob Arum is already talking about how he's disgruntled with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom for even trying to make a bid. And now he's saying that, oh, this might actually damage the negotiations for the Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua fight. I find that very interesting because you're the one that let it go to purse bid, Bob Arum. I don't get it. Like, if you want your fighter to fight, pay the man. I mean, if the market's saying, hey, I want to pay this much, then I'm not saying you got to pay that much, but pay the man so he's happy. You can find the happy medium. You can give him the lion's share. Teofimo fought the guy nobody wanted to fight. He stepped up. He became undisputed. He looked for greatness, and he's your youngest, hottest prospect, right? His social media followers literally tripled since the fight. He's out there. He's promoting himself. He's doing what you said Terrence Crawford doesn't do. Yet Teofimo makes less than Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford is nowhere near the draw that Teofimo is. I'm not sitting here and saying that Terrence Crawford is not a solid pound-for-pound ranked fighter. He is, but he doesn't sell the way Teofimo's doing for you right now. Give the guy a payday. Give him $3 million. Give him whatever he wants. He fought the dog that no one wanted to fight, and I understand with COVID times, et cetera, but it can't just be everybody. At a certain point, when things are going awry and you're not seeing, oh, maybe it was just this person that was an anomaly, because business is business. Things are going to go awry constantly. But if it's every single time somebody makes it to a certain level, all of a sudden they get benched or they're disgruntled, they're not making as much as they thought they would, it just becomes apparent that you're the one that doesn't want to pay these fighters. You're clearly either taking the money that ESPN is giving you, pocketing the budget and trying to make more for yourself, or you just aren't trying to pay these guys because you know they're not really doing their research and taking the risks that they need to in order to further their career. Not everyone is Floyd Mayweather, who's going to buy out his contract for $850,000 and bet on themselves. That's a really, really big bet to place on yourself. If you're used to your promoter giving you an advance and you have to pay it back and you constantly feel like you're underwater, you're not going to take that risk. You're only going to take risk when you are in a position that you're able to afford so. So basically, I don't want to rant about Bob Arum, but here we go again, Bob. I don't get what's going on, and I don't want to talk shit about Bob Arum because he does bring people to the point, but sometimes you just got to cut it out and stop trying to be greedy and just give the guy what he wants. He gave the world what we wanted, and that was the Lomachenko versus Teofimo, but the guy just wants to fight the best, and it's perfect for the ESPN brand, in my opinion, because ESPN, I think, would come in and actually pay him what he wants, because at the end of the day, Teofimo and Lomachenko did the highest ratings of the year, 4.75 million viewers on ESPN on a Saturday night when college football was on. Shit got delayed, and it still did that many numbers. So I don't know what's going on. I'm not behind the scenes, but I think Triller being in boxing, I think Teofimo's actually going to make his $10 million after pay-per-view. I'm sure he's going to get a percentage if the pay-per-view does really well. And if Triller is very happy with him, who knows, right? Maybe Triller goes around and starts actually investing in boxing, and we have another major player in the boxing world. So I'm very, very excited about this, and I hope you guys are too. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Follow on Instagram at Good Boxing Podcast. If you're on Spotify, follow on Spotify. If you choose to use Apple Podcasts, feel free to leave a review and leave a rating. And I'm also uploading these episodes to IGTV if you decide just to watch on the actual Instagram. But if you are, feel free to share, like, comment. I love engaging with you guys. Send me a DM, leave a comment. I love the feedback. Thank you so much and have a great day.